Good morning, it's Brook here again, your ag fieldman. Today we're looking at another weed that's becoming quite a problem, and that is field horsetail. You can see these little guys don't have a lot of leaf area, so spraying them is difficult. Plus they've got very high silica levels. They don't translocate well, so things like glyphosate do not really do a good job on it. Zero tillage has meant that a lot of these weeds are kind of an increaser in zero-till fields, and especially on the edges. They tend to grow where there's a fair bit of moisture, and they do require an extra bit of management, especially bad in hay fields. Horsetail is not good to feed to horses. The reason it's called horsetail, it's actually somewhat poisonous to horses, so you have to watch out for this one. Call your county office if you want more information and some possible control measures. Keep your eye out. Be on your feet, out in your fields, in your boots, scouting that field. Here's an adult leafy spurge plant. See, it's got that distinctive yellowish color. And then there's quite a stand right here. This stage it still can be killed with herbicides, but it's much easier to get them when they're young before they flower. Here's a case of mistaken identity. This particular plant here is early yellow loco weed. It's mostly a pasture plant. You'll see it along the side of the road sometimes in areas that haven't been sprayed, and it can be mistaken as toadflax, Dalmatian toadflax, but it's not. There's another version of this. This is the early stuff. There's another one that looks very similar, which is late yellow loco weed. Pasture plants, they're not that palatable to livestock, but if you've got a very heavily grazed field and livestock do eat it, it can poison them. Hence the name loco weed. So just this is a case where it's mistaken identity. You see it, don't worry about it. If it's toadflax, usually you'll see those things flowering in late July and in August. This stuff this early in the season and a little later, it's the loco weed. Here's a canola plant that's been significantly damaged by flea beetles. As you can see along the road, there's not a whole lot of other plants. There's another one right there. It could possibly need some treatment to get rid of the flea beetles, because they can be devastating when canola is at this small cotyledon stage. Here's a older canola plant at the 2-leaf stage. As you can see right there, there's a little bit of feeding, but it's growing out of it, so it's not an issue. By this stage, there is no worries at all. As you can see, there's one little bite taken out of this canola plant, this canola leaf rather. But I mean, there's no way it's going to stop or affect this plant from growing any further or having any effect on yield. This one's a goer. Here's another, or feeding damage from another pest. As you can see, this is canola. In this case, it's volunteer canola. But those little shot holes in the cotyledons of the canola, that's flea beetle damage. This one's not bad. It's really only a concern if you got cool, wet conditions and the canola is growing rather slowly, and there's heavy feeding. Like when you lose about quarter of the cotyledon, that's the indication it's time to spray. But it depends. Right now, our temperatures are warm. We have plenty of moisture in the soil. The crop is growing rapidly, and this kind of damage, as you can see there, the little pale spots, that's feeding damage as well. This plant, if it was the crop, would rapidly grow out of the problem. And if you look here, right at the very tip, that's the growing point. Now you can get some flea leaf beetle damage. If they start feeding on the growing point, that kills that plant totally. So you have to use your judgment to determine whether or not, if there's damage on the growing point, you need to possibly be spraying if you're finding enough of that damage on a lot of the plants. But normally for spraying for flea beetle, you have to have slow, cool growing conditions, some troubles, and you have to have major league feeding on a good chunk of these cotyledons, at least 25%. If you have any other questions, give us a call, or if you have a problem with a field, give us a call and we can come out and take a look at it. Give you at least a second opinion. This is also the season that we find things happening in our trees. For example, here's the leaf roller. You can see it's a caterpillar, and it actually will get onto the leaf, roll it up, and then it sort of eats its way out. It's not very good looking, and I mean you start wondering about your trees if they're going to die. Usually it's just more of a visual problem. It won't kill the trees themselves, but sometimes it can be seen as a possible symptom, more that the tree might be getting a little old, or it's weak, or it could even be a result of drought 2 years ago even. So it's not something to be really alarmed about, and actually at this stage there is nothing you can do to it. You need to basically just monitor it, because the insects that are causing this rolling, they're covered. If you spray anything on these trees, it does absolutely nothing other than wasting insecticide and possibly affecting some of the parasites and other insect predators that might be eating on those. Okay, here you have, right there, is the actual insect larva that is causing the leaf rolling. And it's inside the leaf. It is not accessible to our insecticides, so don't waste your time and money spraying it. And be aware of the fact that too, that if these guys are here, you've also got various predators that will feed on these, lay their eggs in them, parasitize them. So it's not something that should be sprayed automatically. You're wasting time. So this one was the aspen leaf roller, and right next to it is a balsam poplar. And if you look at them, there's absolutely nothing happening. The leaves are fine. It's a case too of where you got very specific insect pests that affect only one type of tree. In this case, it's the aspen.